Welcome, lovers of sport. Today's race to the bottom is the World League of American Football, which was the NFL's first attempt to take the game international, but mostly to Europe with one Canadian team and 0 teams in Mexico, which is odd because the NFL has played games in Mexico since 1978 with a preseason game of the Philadelphia Eagles versus the New Orleans Saints. And then their first regular season game in 2005 with the Cardinals against the 49ers. There were 10 teams in the league when it was founded in 1991, with 3 European teams and a Canadian team and 6 American teams. They were the London Monarchs, the Barcelona Dragons, the Frankfurt Galaxy, the Montreal Machine, the New York, New Jersey Knights, the Birmingham Fire, the Orlando Thunder, the San Antonio Riders, the Sacramento Surge, and the Raleigh-Durham Nighthawks. And then 1 year later, the Raleigh-Durham Nighthawks became the Ohio Glory, which played on the campus of Ohio State University in Columbus. And they had a seating capacity of 91,470, which is now 108,362. Pat O'Hara was the third string quarterback, the future commissioner of the National Arena League, and he was behind 2 other quarterbacks, Babe Laufenberg being one, and the other being Greg Fry of the similarly ill-fated Cleveland Thunderbolts of the Arena Football League. The league had a total of 11 teams take the field. I'm going to give a bye to the Nighthawks because they played a total of 1 season and were never reincarnated in any form. And that leaves me with a wild card round, and in the wild card round I pitted the Columbus Glory against the Orlando Thunder. So the Thunder had cool uniforms and attendance from a low of 11,270 against the Frankfurt Galaxy and a high of 21,714 against the San Antonio Riders. The Glory and Pat O'Hara, who had played for the Buccaneers and later played for the Toronto Phantoms of the Arena Football League and the Storm of the Arena Football League, although not with Tim Markham. They weren't there at the same time. So the Thunder dropped to the playoff round, in my opinion. Next up, I've got the New York, New Jersey Knights against the Birmingham Fire. And the Knights had Tim Markham, who again later coached the Tampa Bay Storm in their glory years. He had also coached the Detroit Drive in their glory years and had been a linebackers coach for the Gunslingers of the USFL. The Birmingham Fire were owned by Gavin Maloof, well known for getting taxpayers to buy stuff for him and his family, and they had Chan Gailey as their head coach, but because of the Gavin Maloof thing, the Fire moved to the playoff round. And in the playoffs, we've got our 8 teams, which are the Nighthawks, the Thunder, the Fire, the Monarchs, the Dragons, the Machine, the Riders, and the Surge. And my first playoff round goes with the Nighthawks against the Surge. Now the Surge continued forward to become the gold miners of the CFL and played on. So the Nighthawks move on. The Orlando Thunder versus the San Antonio Riders. The Riders moved forward to become the Texans of the CFL, and they moved on. So the Orlando Thunder moved to the next round. The Birmingham Fire versus the Montreal Machine. The Fire came back in 1995 as the Berlin Fire, so the Machine move on. And the London Monarchs versus the Barcelona Dragons. The Monarchs planted the seed that I think is going to be the beginning of the end of the NFL when the Chargers move there. So the Dragons move on. Any shot against the NFL is a winner in my book because I've been boycotting the NFL for a long time because they have taken 2 teams from my hometown in my lifetime. Next up in round 2, I've got the Nighthawks versus the Dragons. And the Nighthawks had Mouse Davis and Tim Markham. It could have been a lot of fun. They had okay attendance, but head-to-head with the Dragons, they were 0-2. So the Nighthawks move on to the championship round. And then I've got the Thunder versus the Machine. The Machine were a good-looking team with a deep maroon uniform, and I had at least one game against the Birmingham Fire available on YouTube. Chris Sims called it. They had a defensive back mic'd up. It was a lot of fun. And because I live overseas, there was a long time when there were very few games available to me. So I had actually had that game burned onto DVD, and I've probably watched it a half a dozen times. So that said, the Thunder, they were managed by Lee Corso, and they had those cool fluorescent green jerseys. So the Machine move on to the championship round, and in the toilet bowl game, I've got the Nighthawks versus the Machine. The Machine were 6-14 total. The Nighthawks they played a single season, and they were 0-10. They might not just be the worst team of the World League of American Football, they might be the worst team ever. Let me know what you think. Please do like and subscribe. Every pair of eyes is appreciated. Thank you very much.